What's up, everybody? It's Evan and
Charles.
back with another Tip Tuesday here. And today I want to talk to you all about troubleshooting IndySoft alarms. Now, this is one area of the software that can be very frustrating to troubleshoot. I've come to learn. Chuck, any insights or any experiences with this?
Yes. Troubleshooting is frustrating, to say the least,
Yes.
for alarms.
So I wanted to put together a little video on things that I like to do when trying to troubleshoot them. So the first thing I like to do is going into the IndySoft Alarm Management module, is going into Task Scheduler. And you can just easily do this by this little button right here, and it will bring up Task Scheduler. And in here, I like to see if there were any errors given by the actual operating system as to why the task did not run.
This is kind of why it's so hard to troubleshoot with alarms, because you also have Windows problems that could be going on in addition to IndySoft errors.
Exactly. So I like to try and see if it's something to do with Windows or if it's something to do with IndySoft. And this is a great place to start with troubleshooting. So here we can see the last run result for my alarm says the operator or administrator has refused the request. Now, at first, I'm not sure what that meant. Chuck, did you know what that means?
It sounds like a permission error, but I'd probably Google it anyway.
Yeah, so what I've gone and done is Googled it, and I found this helpful website that kind of pointed me in the right direction for things, where it talked about setting user permissions, which you were correct in your thinking. And then this other one was changing the power setting. And I knew that I'm a system administrator on my computer here, so I figured that that probably wasn't the issue. But as I scrolled on down and found this changing the power setting, I did notice, after kind of following these tips here, that I had to uncheck that start the task only if the computer is in AC power, and wake the computer if to run this task, and that was able to get my alarms to work. So great thing, like I said, was to go into Task Scheduler and check if there's any errors that were thrown, and then kind of Googling those errors to see, kind of point you in a better direction. Now, the next thing I like to do, Chuck, when troubleshooting alarms, is to go actually into the alarm itself and how it was set up. Couple things that can usually throw you through a loop is, making sure that the filter for the equipment that you want to pull in is actually returning something. So you can do that by checking on this little clock up here, like you do in other searches throughout our software, and see, okay, it's actually returning pieces of equipment.
All right, that's good.
Yeah. Another one, another place to kind of look for is with the different print types. So as you can see here, I have to email /file PDF. Now that has to correspond correctly with these little radio buttons that I'm going to show you. So here I'm going in to edit the actual report. And it's also good to check in here whether or not this search criteria is actually going to bring anything in.
So if you get 0 with the stop clock, it's probably you've got a filter wrong.
Correct. And you can see right here with the report option based on alarm filter is you can always include a report regardless of an alarm filter, or only include report if alarm filter locates equipment. Mm-hmm. So if your filter isn't returning anything and you have the second dialog checked, then it's not going to send out any reports for the alarm. So, gotcha. But going back to what I was originally saying about the email /file PDF is, for that to operate correctly, you need to have design, columns, or field sets checked. If you have grid, it won't. So grid is to work with Excel only. So
okay.
If you do have grid checked, you'll have to go out and change this to email file XLSX. I know that can be a little confusing, but that is one thing that has thrown me through a loop a couple of times.
All right.
Another thing I like to do is kind of narrow it down as to whether or not it is actually the report, or if you're sending an email with your actual alarm. So what I like to do for that is here at the end, in step 5 of 7 here, you can see I have checked include for email. So say that it looks like everything's run properly through Task Scheduler, the event completes, and your filters are properly returning reports and all that.
Your grid isn't matching with PDF. You've got them lined up correctly.
Yep.
So
what I like to do is then it's probably indicating that it's something to do with an email. So what I'll do is uncheck this and just try and save it to a file first. And here you would select your file path on where you'd want to actually save it. And then go ahead and run it and see if the report will actually save to that location. That gives us a good indicator as to it's probably something to do with the email settings. And do you know where in the software we would go about finding our email settings?
User location or profile manager.
Correct. So user location settings, just to show you once more, email settings, making sure all this is correct and doing a little test email to make sure that's operating correctly. That's always very helpful in troubleshooting an alarm. Let's go back to the alarm here itself. But yeah, that's about it for troubleshooting alarms. Also, actually, one other thing I forgot to mention is if we cancel out of here, it is good to note that with alarms, the alarm module will always use default user settings and locations. This helps a ton in troubleshooting alarms if you are breaking out your emails or any sort of notifications you're setting out based on, like, say, certain departments or to certain companies, or breaking it out. If the user that's going to be running it, if their locations, their default user location settings are set up for different companies, it can start throwing it off and not sending the alarms, or excuse me, the emails and notifications properly.
So you always want to make sure that your location is default when you set up your email settings.
Well, you just want to make sure that when you go in here into your default companies, that this is all like left blank, or it's pulling from the proper company. If you have a different company that might not have the actual information you're looking for a part of that list.
Okay, so if you run your email through your alarm and you see some of the fields are maybe not coming across, or they have the wrong value in them, and you say, hey, why are all my procedures messed up, then maybe this is a good place to check.
Absolutely correct.
All right.
So that is good to note that it's always using the default user locations. But as for the rest, as for anything else, that pretty much covers it. But these are always good steps to take, to kind of troubleshoot on your own. But if you've tried all these and you're still having issues, it's always good to shoot us an email at support@IndySoft.com, and definitely include anything that you've tried or anything that that's unique to your alarm, and shoot it on with your email, and we'll try and take a look and see what we can do from there.
Awesome.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. We'll see you guys all next week.
Yep. Happy
Thanks.
calibrating.